Paris Saint-Germain, the reigning treble winners who humiliated Real Madrid with a 5-goal demolition and put 4 past Atletico Madrid in the space of mere months, have finally been served a taste of their own medicine. This time, it wasn't a European giant like Bayern or City, but Chelsea who stood in their way. And not just any Chelsea, a Chelsea side so sharp, so relentless, that for 90 minutes they looked like the best team in the world. Sure, that label might sound like an exaggeration, but when you've just lifted the FIFA Club World Cup, the claim doesn't seem quite so outrageous. And what about that so-called billion-pound mess the whole football world mocked? The circus. The failed youth experiment. The punchline of every Premier League meme. Well, who's laughing now? Under Todd Boehly's stewardship, Chelsea have been quietly building something dangerous. They didn't need to win immediately. They needed time. And now, just as the new Premier League season looms, they're peaking at the perfect moment. Every real Chelsea supporter dreams of the title. And while Manchester City and Liverpool still rule English football, it's worth remembering, Chelsea were the last team to lift the Premier League trophy before the City-Liverpool duopoly began. Yes, it was back in 2017, nearly a decade ago, but it's proof that the Blues know how to win big. And in 2025-26, they might just have the tools to tear that monopoly apart. To see how we got here, you have to go back to the start of the Todd Boehly era. In 2021, after Roman Abramovich's high-profile and controversial exit, Boehly and his Clear Lake Capital Consortium completed a record-shattering £4 billion takeover of Chelsea Football Club. And then, as if that wasn't enough, they spent another staggering £1 billion across 8 transfer windows. At first, it was chaos. 8-tier contracts, a squad overloaded with teenagers and raw prospects, no tactical identity, no consistent results. Pundits called it football anarchy. Fans joked it was like a science experiment gone wrong. Every match day a new failed test. Who could forget that viral video from last summer showing what felt like half of London crammed into the Chelsea training gym? It became a symbol of this supposed disaster. But here's the twist. It wasn't chaos for chaos' sake. Behind the ridicule was a calculated long-term plan. Acquire the most elite young talent in the world before their market value skyrocketed. This wasn't about building a team for today. It was about constructing a squad that would dominate 2 years from now. And for many years after that, and now, that future has arrived. With Enzo Maresca providing the tactical clarity and the players finally understanding their roles, the once mocked billion-pound gamble is transforming into one of football's most dangerous projects. The pieces have clicked into place, the chemistry is real, and for the first time in years, Chelsea's ambition doesn't just feel like a dream, it feels like a warning to the rest of the Premier League. Here's a twist that almost nobody talks about. Just weeks after Chelsea lifted the Club World Cup, a moment that should have been the start of a golden era, the club shocked the football world. Mauricio Pochettino, the man many believed was the steady hand guiding Chelsea out of chaos, was sacked in the summer of 2024. Fans were stunned. This wasn't just unexpected for some, it was outright scandalous. Under Pochettino, Chelsea had finally found rhythm. They had qualified for Europe, played with spirit, and shown signs of a true resurgence. His dismissal came at a time when the team was finally gaining momentum, and doubt spread quickly. When the new appointment was announced, it barely rang a bell for many outside the championship. But those who followed Leicester City knew exactly who he was. Enzo Maresca, the man who had led the Foxes to a dominant 2023-24 season, sealing promotion to the Premier League a month before the campaign even ended. Just weeks after lifting the championship trophy, the Italian walked away from Leicester to take the Chelsea job. And in a matter of months, nearly every Chelsea fan had switched from skepticism to admiration. Maresca, once Pep Guardiola's assistant, at Manchester City, brought with him a razor-sharp, meticulously structured philosophy. Where Pochettino's style had been fluid and instinct-driven, Maresca imposed a 3-stage system. Build up high press, vertical transition. It's not just tactics, it's a blueprint for control. In possession, Chelsea often morph into a 3-2-4-1 or 4-3-3 shape, with inverted fullbacks stepping into midfield to overload the center. Against PSG, we saw the masterstroke in action. Reece James, known for his attacking thrust, played as a defensive midfielder alongside Moises Caicedo and delivered a defensive master. It was the perfect mix of discipline and creativity. And, perhaps most importantly, proof that James had put his injury nightmares behind him, at least for now. Normally, that midfield role next to Caicedo belongs to Romeo Lavia, but injuries opened the door for James to shine. Ahead of them, Enzo Fernandez and Cole Palmer occupied the half spaces, pulling PSG's defensive lines tight and suffocating their passing lanes. Chelsea didn't just play with shape, they played with patience. They began in a measured, almost passive role, absorbing pressure, waiting for Luis Enrique's side to show weakness. And when the opening appeared, they struck. The high press was relentless. Maresca instructed his players to suffocate PSG's build-up from the very first pass, forcing mistakes and turning them into immediate attacking opportunities. By the time the final whistle blew, it was clear. Chelsea weren't just winning games, they were imposing themselves on some of the best teams in the world. Chelsea's aggressive plan didn't just work, it smothered PSG. The Parisians, usually so slick and dangerous, found their rhythm completely strangled in the first half. Their brightest stars were neutralized, their passing lanes squeezed shut. But let's be honest, this wasn't prime treble-winning PSG at full throttle. The team that steamrolled Arsenal, Inter Bayern, and Real Madrid in the Club World Cup simply didn't show up at Stamford Bridge. Whether it was the heavy summer heat or the exhaustion from a packed schedule of high-stakes matches over the last 2 months, this was a version of PSG that looked far more like the old PSG, the one overly dependent on Kylian Mbappé's brilliance than the ruthless machine that conquered Europe. And, as we've seen all season, when Chelsea sense blood in the water, they don't hesitate. PSG's weaknesses weren't just there, they were glaring. The first was their press, or rather, their lack of one. The third goal told the whole story. Cole Palmer picked up the ball in central midfield, looked up, and found nothing but open grass ahead of him. He carried it almost the entire length of the pitch, unchallenged, before threading a perfect through ball to João Pedro. The Brazilian needed just one touch to lift it over. Gianluigi Donnarumma, a finish that looked casual but was the result of hundreds of repetitions at Cobham. The second glaring weakness was PSG's left flank. Time and again, Chelsea ripped into that side. Palmer drifted wide to isolate Vitna, while Malo Gusto and Reece James rotated into support, creating constant 2v1 overloads. This wasn't accidental, it was a rehearsed pattern designed to pull PSG's shape apart. It produced the first 2 goals almost carbon copy style. The second goal, in particular, was a work of art. It started with Levi Colwill's pinpoint long ball. Palmer brought it down, shielded it with his body, and then with a subtle drop of the shoulder, sold Vitinha a dummy that sent him covering the wrong man. In that split second, Palmer cut inside, set the ball on his left foot, and rifled it into the net. It was cold, clinical, and decisive. But as much as Chelsea fans will want to shout title contenders from the rooftops after a night like this, there's a reality check. To win the Premier League, especially against the machine that is Manchester City and the resurgence of Liverpool, you need to be nearly flawless across every department. And just look at Liverpool. They lifted the league title in 2025, lost only one key player in Trent Alexander-Arnold, and have reached without missing a beat. The margin for error is razor. Liverpool's title-winning machine didn't just stay strong, it got sharper. After losing Trent Alexander-Arnold, they wasted no time in reinforcing with a wave of elite talent. Dustin Kirk, Jeremy Frimpong, and Florian Wirtz. And they might not be done. Reports suggest Alexander Isak could be on his way to Merseyside, a signing that would instantly transform Liverpool's attack into not just the best in the Premier League, but arguably one of the most feared front lines in all of Europe. Arsenal, meanwhile, are refusing to fade into the background. This summer, the Gunners have gone shopping with precision. Backup goalkeeper Kepa Arrizabalaga, a new central defender in Christian Mosca for £16 million. Defensive midfielder Christian Nanas for £10 million. Winger Noni Madwek for £52 million, and the crown jewel so far, Martin Zubamendi from Real Sociedad for £56 million. And they're not done either. 2 more big arrivals are expected, Eberetzi Ez, and, most importantly, Victor Gyökeres, a combined investment of over £100 million. All of this makes one thing clear. Chelsea's road to the Premier League title is blocked by some seriously upgraded rivals. And that's before we even talk about Manchester City. After a nightmare 2024-25 campaign, Pep Guardiola's men have reloaded smartly. Tijani Reinders, Rayan Cherki, Ryan Atnery, and Marcus Bettinelli have all joined, alongside a massive £200 million winter spending spree. City aren't just back in the race, they're charging forward with intent. So where does that leave Chelsea? At Stamford Bridge, the big talking point is the Nicholas Jackson situation. Signed 2 seasons ago, Jackson looked like Todd Bowley's long-term number 9. In 2023-24, he scored 14 Premier League goals and played a decisive role in Chelsea's UEFA Conference League triumph. But at the Club World Cup, he faltered. His performances were flat, capped off by a costly red card in the group stage against Flamengo, and he made little impact despite being the designated starting striker. By the time the Club World Cup final arrived, Nicholas Jackson's decline in status was complete. He didn't even make the bench. Instead, Maresca handed the striker roles to new arrivals João Pedro and Liam Delap, and both delivered in style, bagging 3 goals each across the tournament. Jackson's numbers in a Chelsea shirt have always looked decent on paper, even with the occasional high-profile miss. But the difference in quality is now impossible to ignore. Pedro's elegance on the ball, his control in tight spaces, his ability to glide past defenders, it's on another level. Delap, too, offers a raw, direct threat that defenders hate dealing with. Even in the final, coming on in the second half, he twice broke through on goal, only to be denied by Gianluigi Donnarumma's heroics. And just when you think Chelsea's attacking depth has peaked, they add another weapon. Jamie Ben from Borussia Dortmund, Maresca now has a luxury problem most managers would kill for. Too many dangerous forwards to fit into one lineup. That's why Chelsea's Club World Cup triumph is more than just another trophy in the cabinet. It's proof that Todd Boehly's billion-pound rebuild, mocked and doubted for 2 years, is beginning to pay off. With Maresca's crystal-clear structure, a wave of blossoming young stars, and sharp summer reinforcements, the Blues aren't just sniffing around the edges of the Premier League's elite, they're banging on the door. Add one more top defender and a reliable goalkeeper, and they won't just be a dark horse. They'll be a genuine nightmare for the likes of City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Because right now, the Premier League has a Chelsea problem, and the Club World Cup taught us exactly why. Before the final, critics dismissed them for having an easy path to the trophy. But then they dismantled PSG, and in one night, the conversation flipped. Chelsea went from a billion-pound punchline to a billion-pound warning shot. So, what do you think? Has Chelsea's turning point finally arrived? And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you check out our latest upload, where we break down why La Liga could have a serious Real Madrid problem next season.